Welcome back, soul travelers. In this second part of Harold Klemp Powerful Talk, we go even deeper into the mysteries of reincarnation and how our past lives might influence our present. Let's hear what true wisdom really means and why it's not just having experiences, but having the right kind of experience. And I invite you to open your heart as we continue.
Sometimes I've mentioned before that children will refer to a past life. They'll just bring it up out of the blue. Now this mother wrote to me, she said, she babysits during the day, and she has a number of the little kids in. They're maybe 3 years old, the toddlers. And her own daughter had come home from school. Her daughter is 15. Her daughter had come home, and this little girl was sitting on the couch with a 15-year-old. So the 3-year-old and the 15-year-old are just there together. And usually the little girl was chattering all the time. Chat, 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 chat. But today she was very quiet. She was thinking. And then suddenly, without any prompting, she just started to speak. And she said to the 15-year-old, she said, "When I was big, I was driving down the street with my daddy. We had eaten dinner out, and we were late picking up my sister. My daddy drove right through a stop sign, and he crashed the car. I went through the windshield and laid on the ground for a long time before anyone came to help me. I died. When I was big, though, my name was Amanda, and I was big like your mommy." And this is a 3-year-old talking to the 15-year-old. Well, the 15-year-old, once in a while, being in the rebellious years, had her questions about Ekankar and reincarnation and all those things too. And so she looked at her mother and she said, "Mom, did you hear what she said?" Mother said, "Yes, I heard." And the older girl, she tries to get more information from the toddler, but it was as if the screen were pulled down. And that was it. The child said no more. And it just went about being itself. So the mother said, it pointed out for her again and for her daughter that reincarnation is simply another day in the life of soul. Now this is part of the true wisdom. We celebrate the resurrection too, and we celebrate this life as the resurrection because life always follows death, and it doesn't do it just one time. In Ekankar, we believe and know that this progression and this cycle occurs again and again. And many people are not at the point where they can understand this because it's not the time. They have many other things to learn that are very, very important. Not to say that the Ekists who've come further, let's say, further along the path as they think that they've solved all the problems of people around them, they haven't. But at least they've come to an understanding that there's a way out, there's a way off, the wheel of reincarnation. Another echist wrote in, and she sent me a card, one of these cards, a new member survey. Someone had sent this in, and the card says, please check your choices. First question, how did you first learn about Ekankar? And this person had checked two things, friend, family was the first thing, and the second was book. Second question, what other contacts with Ekankar did you have before becoming a member? Again, 2 check marks, book, and then ex-seminar. Third question, how much time passed between first learning about Ek and your becoming a member? And then there are a whole bunch of choices, joined immediately, 1 to 2 months, 3 to 5 months, and all the way up to 2 and 3 years. And then a other with a blank behind it. And there this person had written, approximately 25 years. And the fourth question was optional. Why did you decide to become a member of Ekankar? Of course, the question becomes very important after 25 years. And this new person said, only a master can take you to the heavenly worlds. Final thing I'd like to talk about.
Wow, this just speaks to the heart. I used to think that the more you go through in life, the wiser you become. But Harold Klemp is helping us see something deeper. It's not just about going through life, it's about what you awaken to through each experience. Wow, guys, this is eye-opening. Isn't this beautiful? Ekankar teaches that soul who really are is eternal. You are on a sacred journey of discovering divine love and wisdom. So even if life looks like a mess from the outside, there is always a golden thread of pulling you inward towards spiritual freedom. Isn't it fascinating how a child barely 3 years can recall such detailed memories of the past? This story truly makes us question the boundaries of our consciousness and the journey of the soul. It suggests that our soul carry memories and lessons from the previous lifetimes that is influencing who we are today. Have you ever experienced deja vu or felt unexplainable connection to a place or a person? Perhaps it's your soul remembering.
Is a story by Claudia. I mention her name because she had told the story in her local X center. The people had asked her to tell her story. Claudia had been raised in an orphanage in another country, came to America, didn't know how to speak English, and she grew up in southern Alabama in 1966. Very troublesome years for anyone who was different. She didn't speak English, and she took an awful beating from the kids, her classmates, because the people there weren't tolerant of foreigners at all. But finally she learned English, and then with her family, she made some friends after she learned English. With her family, she moved to Hawaii, and here it started all over again. She was white, and most of the 2,000 kids in the school were Hawaiian, Tahitian, Samoan, Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, and there were only 100 Hollies, slang for the white kids. 100 against 2,000. She said it wasn't a ratio she ever wants again because they had gangs. And the kids carried weapons. And she said it was a terrifying place for a 12-year-old. And so at home she was one of those troubled youth. She was always running away. And at the age of 15, she ran away one time too many, so her father got tired of it, and so turned her over to the state, and she went to the worst juvenile detention center in the history of Tennessee, says Claudia. Many of the kids were there for minor infractions like running away from home. But there were others there who were there for major crimes: assault, armed robbery, murder. It was a horrendous place. She said the conditions were just horrible. And she became very, very sick. And so they transferred her to a hospital. After her health stabilized, they sent her off to a girls' home, and then they, after a while, let her go. And she moved by herself 2,000 miles away to work, and she supported herself while she was getting a diploma for high school. And she got this diploma at the age of 17. So Claudia was a bright child, a bright youth. But she says, she confesses that at the age of 17, she was a very old 17. Now for the next 13 years until she was 30, she held some pretty good jobs, but at the same time, she was under drugs. She was under the influence of drugs, anything that would numb the pain. And so somewhere in there, in spite of the good job she held and everything else, the drugs landed her in a county jail for 3 months. When she came out, she realized that she had lost everything. She lost her self-esteem more than anything. And then came one of these switches that occur in life. Cinderella to the princess. She met a multimillionaire. Cinderella did well. Now she got a taste of the other side of life. Now it was a life of Cadillacs, country clubs, and then she says a very affluent lifestyle. Now what Claudia didn't realize at the time is that often when a person is about to come into Ekankar, there will be a quick replay of the very lowest parts of one's experience, like rebellion, use of drugs, and yet the very highest, maybe where there is complete happiness, like Winston Churchill, rise to the pinnacle and then fall. And so someone who comes to the path of Ak, not always, but sometimes, such a person has run along a very rocky road, and she saw that her life was pretty much gone. She had lost it herself, but she realized it was up to her. And so then she found Ekankar, and she found that it could offer her a lot more than the material goods that she had with the multimillionaire. And so she gave up her boyfriend, and she gave it all up. She had barely enough money to get by and everything, but every day she did the spiritual exercises, And morning and night she focuses on the 5 virtues: detachment, contentment, humility, discrimination, and then forgiveness, tolerance are together. And then sings Hugh. It helps her stay open, keep her heart open to the light and sound of God. And she likened herself to a butterfly in a cocoon who has lost its liberty. And then realizing that it's the same with soul in its prison, and when it finally finds the teachings of Vak, it is freed of the body in its consciousness, and it can rise through the planes to the high worlds where God dwells. So I am with you always, and may the blessings be. Thank you.
As we close part 2, I just want to say, if you feel like life keeps repeating itself, please don't feel discouraged. Maybe the Mahanta, the inner master, is giving you a chance to find the right experience that will change your whole perspective. Whether it's through a small moment of kindness or a spiritual exercise like singing your path is being guided. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to explore more about Eckankar and its teachings, and what experience has taught you the most about love and wisdom. Let's learn from each other, because every soul has a story that can awaken another soul. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and join me on this journey of spiritual awakening and more insights that can truly change your life. I love you all.